Hey guys, welcome back to Recreational Sniper. Today I'm out here actually at my home shooting range. I'm still kind of working on it a little bit, but as you can tell, I'm building a backstop. Right now I'm only shooting handguns out here. So anyways, in today's video we're going to be testing some hand loads for the 10mm, and the 10mm we're shooting today is the SIG P320 X10 10mm, and I've got a Romeo 1 Pro red dot on top. The bullets I'm testing are the Barnes Tac-XP 125 grain bullets, and these are loaded with Longshot powder, and the first 5 bullets are going to be loaded with 10 grains of powder. The next bullets 6 through 10 will be loaded with 10.2, and 11 through 15 will be loaded with 10.4 grains. So we're going to check for velocity over the chronograph, and we're going to shoot them into that target there. Let's not shoot the chronograph today. I have done that in the past. .1442, 1458, 1454, 1498, 1397. All right, the next 5 rounds will be at 10.2 grains. 1481, 1426, 1437, 1464, 1459, 1460, and the next rounds are loaded at 10.4 grains of powder. 1500, 1544, 1435. I think what's happening is I'm getting a little off the center on my chronograph. And 1463. So I apparently didn't count my rounds very good, because that was only what, 4. I was glad to see that there were no jamming issues with my reloads. They all function flawlessly, so that's fantastic. Looks like they shot good. Let's see if anything went through my backstop. Doesn't appear like anything actually passed through the backstop, so that's fantastic. The average is still sub 1500 feet per second, so I'm gonna have to load some more of those up and do some more testing. I was testing some 10mm hand loads with the 125 grain Barnes Tac-XP bullets using Longshot powder, and we got some interesting results as far as velocity goes, and we're going to go over that and also what it means, and more testing basically needs to be done. So at 10 grains of powder we got an average velocity of 1449.8 feet per second, and this is just for 5 test rounds. And at 10.2 grains we got an average of 1453.4, and at 10.4 grains we got an average of 1480.4. So it jumped up almost 30 feet per second, about 27 feet per second there, going up to 10.4. So, which is that when you're nearing your maximum loads in handgun rounds, I've noticed this a lot, is when you near that maximum charge weight, or powder weight, is that you will see a significant jump in pressure and that sort of thing. Now, with the 10 grain load, we had an extreme spread of 101 feet per second. So it's really not very good. It's really not very acceptable. Now, it is important to note that at the shooting range here at the house, it is in the woods, and so there's quite a bit of foliage and tree cover, and the chronograph may or may not pick up the exact same velocity every time, or it may not read just right every time. So it could be partly due to that is the reason why the velocity spread's so high. Could be partly due to I may have not been centered perfect over the chronograph, even though I think I was pretty close. But I've often thought that that may be an issue shooting in the shade like that. So I may have to set my chronograph up a little bit differently, put the light shades, the white shades or visors over the top of it. Maybe it'll see that better and be able to differentiate and see the bullet better as it flies over the top. But anyways, at 10.2 grains, we got an extreme spread of 55 feet per second, which is way more acceptable. That's going to be pretty typical for any commercially grade available ammunition. So like any ammo that you go to a gun store and buy or wherever, you're going to see extreme spreads probably in the 50 to 60 range for the most part. Some other really high-end ammunition that's really expensive will get a lot better, a lot tighter extreme spreads. But 55, 60 in there is pretty typical. Sometimes you'll see with cheaper ammo that it'll be 100 plus or even 200 plus I've seen before. But 55 is not too bad. Now when we jump to 10.4 grains, the extreme spread jumped up again. It's got up there that it's at 109 feet per second extreme spread. So it's not really super great for me, but the velocity average was up there where I really wanted it to be. I wanted to get close to that 1500 foot per second mark. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up another batch of test rounds at 10.4 grains, and then I'm going to load up a batch of test rounds at 10.5 and go and test both of those sets. So as far as energy output, and this is how the 10, this is some 10 millimeter stuff here. As far as energy output goes, at 10 grains, we got an average of 583.3 foot-pounds of energy. At 10.2 grains, it was 586.2 foot-pounds of energy. And at 10.4 grains, it jumped up to 608.2. So, the original FBI load for this, if we go to our kinetic energy calculator, the original FBI load for 10 millimeter was a 200 grain projectile at 1200 feet per second. If we go there and we type in 200 grains at 1200 feet per second, we show a kinetic energy output of 639.38 foot-pounds. So when we're in that 600 foot-pound range for 10 millimeter, that lets you know right there that we are nearing the maximum output, maximum performance for 10 millimeter auto. Now I have seen where they've been loaded a little hotter, like gotten them up to like 1250 with a 200 grain bullet, and that would bump you up actually significantly. That puts you almost to 700 foot-pounds. That would bump you up to 693.77 foot-pounds. So that's really getting up there quite a bit. So that's well into your 357 Magnum power territory. I have seen some different loads of lighter bullets, say the 155 grainers, and push those up to about 1400 feet per second, and then again that's in that 675 foot-pound area. So all around with the 10 millimeter auto, depending on bullet weight and velocity, the typical maximum performance per bullet weight and velocity is with the lighter bullets, heavier bullets, and medium weight bullets. They're all going to be in that like 650 to 700 foot-pound range in that window. So that's quite a lot of energy, and that's one thing I did notice when I shot these yesterday, is when it all of a sudden jumped to that last 5 rounds and jumped up there, a little bit more velocity, is it actually was noticeable the amount of more recoil that was occurring. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. So with that being said, I'm going to load 5 more rounds at 10.4 grains, and then I'm going to load 5 rounds at 10.5 grains and test those and see how that goes. So let's get to loading these and then we'll go shoot them and test them.